Feel like we are ready. So I'm going to call this meeting to order. It's a virtual meeting of the Hamilton County Board of County Commissioners, May 14th, 2020. We are in the middle of COVID-19, and so having virtual meetings at this point once a week. So this is our regular meeting. You can see who has joined the meeting on the screen, and so I will not do introductions. Suffices to say that my colleagues, Vice President of the Commission, Summer Odumas, is on the call, as well as Commissioner Parks, County Administrator, and others, some of whom we will hear from. We will start with a silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. So the silent prayer will be first. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United
States of America
and
to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'm going to move that we approve of the minutes of the previous session.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes?
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes.
Thank you. We have a number of folks on that have updates for us. So Greg Kesterman, the Commissioner of Hamilton County Health, is with us as always. Greg, give us an update related to the numbers and anything else you'd like us to be updated on.
Thank you, Commissioners, for having me today, and good afternoon. Thus far in the county, we are up to 1,886 cases of COVID-19. That's countywide, including Cincinnati, Springdale, and Norwood. In addition, we have 350 hospitalizations and 105 deaths. In our jurisdiction, of the 980 residents within just Hamilton County Public Health jurisdiction, 431 of those have recovered. As you know, our team has continued to be busy with contact tracing. We've been working with the county employees to make this happen, as well as some other organizations, including the Methodists have provided ministers to us to help with contact tracing. And we've had a lot of reach out from colleges in the area that are looking to help as well. On average, it takes, we see about 20 people for each contact that we have need to get a phone call and follow up with them and ask those individuals to quarantine. On average, over the last 30 days, we've had 21 contacts per day. Some days we get 50, some days we get 15, but on average 21. In addition, this week's been a busy week reviewing plans with businesses. We've had a lot of businesses reach out, and we appreciate them reaching out and being proactive as they're trying to open up safely and do the right thing. We've not had a significant number of complaints. I would have actually thought by this point we would have our phones would be ringing nonstop, but that's not the case. And hopefully that's an indication that most businesses are doing things correctly. We are really encouraging our citizens that if they show up at a store and it's unsafe because the employees aren't taking the necessary steps, it's okay to leave. We'll take the complaint. You can file that at hcph.org. But please leave and show the stores that it's a requirement for you to shop there as well. It's really, that's the key. As we restart Ohio, each of us have to do our role to make sure that we do this correctly. And we're asking customers and citizens when they're out and about in an area where masking is necessary to wear that mask. So if you're out on the trail or in your car by yourself, masking is not required. It's when you're in those businesses and you can't socially distance that it's critical that we do so to keep hospitalizations and deaths down as well. I'll stop there, Commissioners, and let you ask any questions you may have of me.
So, Greg, you mentioned the reopenings. Can you remind us about what that looks like? I mean, I know that retail is open, restaurants can open to outdoor dining starting tomorrow, indoor dining starts next week. But correct me if I'm wrong, the directive from the commissioner, Health Commissioner Amy Acton at the state level and the governor is that employees are required to wear the masks, but customers are strongly encouraged to wear masks. Is that correct?
That's exactly correct. And you could have a business that actually takes it one step further, and to do business with them, they can require masking as well. But it's not a mandate from the state.
Okay. All right. Very good. So, yeah, and we will be talking more about this tomorrow at the briefing. I think there is I think we're all probably getting these calls. There's a lot of interest about what's opening, what's allowed to happen. And I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but I think you're saying we still need to do the safe distancing. We should still be washing our hands. And if we are out no more than 10 in a group, like say perhaps at a restaurant, and we still need to be careful, because we should assume that we and everybody else have COVID-19 and act accordingly. So again, not to put words in your mouth, but I've heard you say that in the past. So it's one of these times where we expect to see an increase in positive cases, because we've got increased testing, but also people are starting to move around a little bit more.
That's correct. And it's really important, even when we're getting together in groups of 10 people, that we are doing so and keeping social distance still, meaning I shouldn't get together with the next door neighbors because we're not living together, and it creates another opportunity for the spread. So we really just want folks to stay as that family unit. It's healthy to see people, give that 6 feet of space, take the extra precaution with masking, make sure you're hand sanitizing, or if you don't have hand sanitizer, washing your hands, and just taking all those necessary steps.
Great, thank you. Questions from the commissioners?
Thank you, Madam President. I have no questions, but I thank you, Greg, for all that you do.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Likewise. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Ditto. So, all right. Thanks, Greg. I know you're busy, but thank you for the update as always.
Absolutely. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. All right. Nick Crosley, the director of the Emergency Management Agency, is also with us to provide an update. Nick has been very busy, not only collecting gowns and masks, shields, but also distributing that. So, Nick, bring us up to date on what you guys have been up to.
Well, as you remember, so we continue, and I'm just reiterating this. So we are both sourcing PPE for distribution within the county. So that is the county purchasing PPE. We're also continue to manage the personal protective equipment that's distributed by the state. So we have ODH and Ohio EMA distributing different types of PPE. That all comes with guidance on how it should be distributed, or most of it. So right now our priorities, and I sent this to all of you last week. Our priorities, our tier 1 priorities, as we're calling them, are hospitals, fire departments, and EMS providers, long-term care facilities, and within those facilities, the primary being, or if you want to think of them as 2 tiers. First tier is facilities with COVID-19 cases. They might have, whether it's 1 or 15, it's really irrelevant. So we're making sure we're trying to meet their basic needs, as well as, and then we've actually served, as most of you know, probably by today, and I'll have the updated number tomorrow, over 90 nursing homes, probably more than once within Hamilton County in the about 10 weeks we've been doing this. And then lastly, working with the jail. So I think the Sheriff's Department's been very successful in keeping COVID out of the jail. And so we work with them on ensuring that both the prisoners and the people working at the jail have appropriate level of PPE. And then law enforcement agencies. So that's the tier 1. The tier 2 really is everybody else. So as society is opening back up, we're starting to see more and more, especially our social service agencies, going back out into the community. So I don't think they ever left the community, but I think they're getting out there more as society opens up, and they're identifying more need amongst the people that they serve. And so we are basically distributing single-use mask, if you will. So we sometimes call them surgical masks. But there's also non-surgical masks that look like the same thing, but they're not quite to that level. Hand sanitizer, if organizations ask for it. Wipes, so just the wipes and other cleaning materials. So those are the kind of general things that we're handing out. We also have a large store of face shields. And so with all that being said, that's kind of a balancing act. So I'm doing really one of 2 things. We're trying to meet at least part of that immediate need while working with all these providers. I think that as social service agencies go forward for a while, for better or for worse, they're going to have to start working a little bit of PPE and this other added equipment into their budgets. But we are helping them, and as long as we can, so that's not a problem. And right now it's not a problem, at least giving them part of what they request. and they've been very gracious and understanding. And basically, they may be trying to get a month's supply, and we give them a week or 2 weeks is how we do it. And then we say, let's talk about your burn rate. Let's talk about how you're using it. And then, of course, we also share our vendor information with different people. We're also working with, so we've been fortunate. We just received a large shipment of single-use sewn mask, so cotton mask. They look very similar to surgical masks, but they're not medical grade. And we'll be distributing those pretty heavily, pretty widely, especially within the social service community. I think there'll be a great use out there. We got over, I think it's about 180,000 of those in stock. So we'll be reaching out to we've had a huge uptick, like I said, the Human Services Chamber, lots of other community groups. The word is getting out that we're here, that we can help them. And so we're going to use those to distribute to them. We also gave a large number to the jail. So that, they're going to open visitation back up, and they're going to have some more public traffic. Again, I think it's going to be really key keeping COVID-19 out of the justice system, if you will, as well as the courts. But we are going to make some available to all the communities. So I'm going to send out a survey to sort of find out how many would you want at the community level, with probably some type of initial cap. And then also, hopefully Friday, I always say this because I don't know if I'm going to get it until it's in my warehouse, but we should be getting a distribution of reusable cloth masks. And so again, that's a lot of this stuff starts out, it's to try to support local government, because that's government to government, but also community agencies. So we're going to start out distributing these cloth masks to local governments, so they can use some for their employees, and then they can distribute some to the community. And then we will take orders and work with our community agency providers. So the Council on Aging, the Human Services Agency, the homeless shelters, those really down. There's a lot of community service providers that I've only been here 5 years, and I didn't know there were this many providers in Hamilton County. One of the gentlemen that works for me has been in the fire service for over 30 years. And retired and came to work here, and he didn't know there were this many agencies in Hamilton County. So we're doing everything we can, and again, as I've reiterated to you before, and Councilwoman Kearney, I'm sort of saying this a little bit for your benefit, everybody's heard my spiel, is we do ask people to call us and have a conversation, so we can understand their organization and how we can help them. So it develops it's the social worker in me, I guess, develops that relationship. And so, and then we give them an online form to submit their order, and then we have an ongoing relationship with them. But we do have to look toward, and part of our strategy also is, what does the future hold? So if we see a resurgence in this and we see another constricting in supplies, again, we go back to that first tier priority, which are first responders, hospitals, healthcare, nursing homes, that kind of thing. So it's starting to educate, these various community providers that here's what we can do, and here's what we're looking at in the future, and start looking at it as you look toward the year ahead, and working with the United Way and other financial providers to try to add that into their long-term planning. So that's sort of where we're at. That survey, I don't know if I'll have that information by noon tomorrow when we go on our community call, but as soon as I have it, we'll send out a survey, see how many everybody's thinking, and then we'll set up for them to come get them. But I think, especially the reusable cloth mask, that's a great option. People can keep them clean. We're using guidance from the Cleveland Clinic on how to take care of those, so we can distribute that as well. It's a link, but also I can print off some of that guidance for people. Because I think the key to cloth mask is how you handle it as you use it. It's key with any mask if you're going to reuse a mask during the day, but then also make sure you wash it daily. And I was looking actually for guidance that told people to wash it daily. And the Cleveland Clinic put that kind of guidance out. And, in Ohio, it's the Cleveland Clinic. So, and so that's sort of where we're at. We're also working with the county on sort of working on its reopening plan and getting our services back up and running. Not that they've ever stopped, but what does reopening to the public look like? And then, of course, we continue with our monitoring severe weather mission. I'm actually duty officer this week, so primary. So we're monitoring the weather coming in, looking at flooding, that kind of thing, making sure it doesn't happen. We have no threat right now, but we always have the threat of high winds and things like that. So we continue with that mission as well. And then, of course, everything else we're engaged in. So that's where we're at. Like I said, I've sent you the guidance, and I'm going to send that out with Friday's sit rep. When we send that out to the communities, we'll send a copy of our guidance on how we're distributing PPE, just so that's public and transparent. So there's no, and then always remember, I always take feedback from any of you. If you have guidance or any tweaks or anything, or I always encourage you to call me, or if somebody has a question, they can call us as well. So we work for the public. And so if somebody runs a nonprofit or something, they have a question. Also, just to reiterate, as society opens back up, we are not, while we are servicing some medical clinics and people like that, dentists and ophthalmologists and specialty clinics to try to get them back on their feet, we are hearing from them that their sources are opening back up for what they need. But we're not servicing the general private sector. So hair salons, restaurants, we're focused on tier 1 recipients, and then the vulnerable, sort of our more vulnerable and populations, if you will. So that's what I have.
Great, thank you. And Nick, I'm sure the other commissioners have seen the spreadsheet and the list of the organizations that have received the PPE from EMA. It's a really extensive list, and I know there is a lot of effort going into prioritizing who gets what, and I just want to again applaud you for that work. And yeah, these local jurisdictions, we get on a call twice a week, and we have heard from them that there is a need in their communities for the PPE. So they are pretty high on the priority list for the cloth masks that are coming. So if anybody has any organization that think that might benefit from some of the PPE that the county has, Nick is always available for that phone call. So with that, any questions or comments from my fellow commissioners?
Thank you, Madam President. I'm wore out, Nick. Thank you so much for all you do, and try to get you some rest if you can, but I thank you so much, and I know the people of Hamilton County thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Nick, I'm wondering about thermometers. Do we provide those, or does each organization, are they responsible for it?
So I would tell you onesie and twosies is what I call them. Thermometers are available. They're not cheap, but they are available. We do have an order out. We have not received it yet. It's been a challenge getting that order. So that and disposable gowns, we've had a real issue with those two things. But as soon as we are willing to share those thermometers, I mean, not in bulk, but I know there's been a need identified, especially within any kind of congregate setting, homeless shelters or anybody, it could be a senior center or a senior day center, daycare, as those open back up. And then of course we have, various government operations and things like that. But yeah, as soon as we get them, we will distribute what we can. But they're still tough to get. I know that if organizations need one, I bought one personally, gave it to my hairdresser. But she's a small business person, and she was out of business for a while. Actually, my wife told me to do it, so I bought it for her. But so they are available onesie and twosie. It's just that we have not been able to get our bulk. And I just want to say again, a lot of this work it's done at the direction of the board, and so I appreciate their support. It's really beneficial in Ohio. We're very lucky in Hamilton County to have the support we've had and the funding that we've been fortunate enough to get from the federal government, and then of course with Jeff's support and your purchasing department at the county. I've never known a purchasing department as well as I know the Hamilton County Purchasing Department now. But they've just done an outstanding job. So if you see Joanne or Jill or any of those guys in the hallway, they are working from home and from the office every day. I probably talk to them. We talk to them at least daily on all this. So a lot of this is driven by community need. And so as soon as we have thermometers, I'll let you know when we get those in, just so you're aware.
Wonderful. Hope that we get some down at our building. And I was also wondering what kind of steps are you taking for vulnerable communities?
Oh, well, that's how. So I feel like our biggest ability to reach is working with just our individual communities. So, for example, working through the Council on Aging to all the different organizations they work with that work with the aging, the Human Services Chamber. But then we're starting to hear, there's in Cincinnati alone, I think there's 50-something neighborhood groups And so they've been getting the word out. So we've gotten some nonprofits. So really we work with the individual nonprofits. And that's how we're doing that. So we're getting the word out really through our elected officials like you. And that's why we also do cover this on the bi-weekly community call. But the word is out there because we've serviced, I mean, it was up 68 in a week last week, 68 new organizations.
Nick, so you're working with community groups.
And I'm also working with Robert Bell.
Maybe civic associations or something like that.
Yeah, as long as they have that human service role. So if they're like the mental health board, and then they work through a lot of other organizations for mental health services. So they help us get the word out to the groups that they work with. So we're really looking at those frontline human service providers.
I see.
So we're not supplying necessarily workplaces that are closed environments, but it's really, we are trying to help. So for example, we helped, it was an organization that has one of those closed workshop work areas. So we gave them an initial deployment, St. Vincent de Paul. We can't keep doing that because they have huge numbers, but we know that that's a worthwhile endeavor. So we're working, as long as they have that human service and they're out there working with the communities, then that's sort of our caveat, if you will. We're still not, we'll never be at a level where we can outfit just the general public, if you will.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nick.
Sure.
So Victoria, or Commissioner Parks, sorry. I'm wondering if I've seen this spreadsheet from Nick regarding the distribution, and it's really helpful, and it is updated. Nick, I don't know how often, but I know you send it out every now and again. It gives you a really great listing of the organizations that are getting this PPE. And so when Nick talks about the Human Services Chamber, he's talking about Community Action Agency, Center for Addiction Treatment, Dress for Success, First Step Home, Free Store Food. I mean, Tender Mercies, Urban League, West. So there's a whole list of them, and it's continuously updated. So Nick, could you please send that out again? I will caution you that if you stay on the first tab, you won't see all of this. It took me a minute to realize that. I'm like, oh, there's more than one tab. And if you click through, you will see kind of the county departments, local government, firefighters and police officers throughout the county. But then as you move through, you see the nonprofits. And then the last tab talks about the nursing homes. And there are many nursing homes being served here. So it's really helpful to look.
It's really awesome. What I was thinking about when I asked that question was, maybe neighborhoods like Lincoln Heights and in Avondale, for people that are not associated with like St. Vincent de Paul or.
Actually, with this latest shipment, I talked to Robert yesterday, and I know Robert is focusing a lot on those communities.
You mean Robert Bell?
Robert Bell, I'm sorry, yeah. And so we're actually having a conversation. I told him I needed to get it in my warehouse before I would talk about it, so I could see him. So yeah, Robert and I are going to have a conversation later this week or early next week about getting it out to.
I think it's great, and I think that working with neighborhood organizations is smart. That way, we're in the neighborhood, and for people that are not associated, with these other organizations, and then, they have access to.
And with that, focusing on the high risk, so if you're 18 and perfectly healthy, we're probably not going to hit anything. But if you're one of the high risk groups, then yeah, we work with the neighborhood groups to do that. There's no formal application. There's no vetting anybody's registration. So we're not doing any of that. It's just conversation, maybe a Google search if we're not familiar. But for the most part, a lot of trust. You probably wouldn't get our phone number if somebody didn't give it to you. So it's really as easy. It's as easy as it can possibly be. So, and we haven't had any negative feedback, and most people are just, like I would be, are just thankful that somebody is able to provide them with something.
Right. Well, thank you so much. I think it's awesome, Nick.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate the update.
Thank you.
So our third guest today is a special guest. No offense to Nick and Greg. New council member Jan Michelle Lemon Kearney is here to talk about, and I think at the invitation of Commissioner Somero Dumas, although I know Commissioner Parks and I also know Council Member Kearney. Is it Council Member Kearney? Is it Lemon Kearney?
You know what? It's just Kearney, but just
Okay, good enough.
Jan Michelle is fine.
Okay, let's do that. All right. So, Commissioner Somero Dumas, I don't know if you want to say anything else by way of introduction before we hear from the council member.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm sure Jan will do fine herself.
Thank you so much. Well, I have to say, Madam President, I really, really appreciate you inviting me, Vice President Somero Dumas, who is my childhood friend. We are both proud Rockdale graduates, Avondale people. So, thank you so much. Commissioner Parks, thank you for having me. Let me just start by saying I appreciate your leadership. I mean, I am so proud. And I hate to say it, but you all are showing folks what women can do. And so I'm really, really happy to see women in charge, and you all are doing such a great job for Cincinnati and for Hamilton County. So thank you for all your work. I know it's a tough time, but you all are just making all of us proud. And so thank you for that. I know you invited me here to talk about hashtag Cincy by Black Thursdays. So let me just start by saying, because some people have asked me, we really are encouraging people to support all small businesses, all local businesses. It's been a tough time. As you all know, a lot of them have been closed for 2 months. Some are reopening now, some aren't. And everybody is kind of struggling. We're all in here struggling together. So we want all businesses to be supported. We started hashtag Cincy by Black Thursdays because just like with health disparities, Black businesses have an extra special challenge. We started a little bit behind in the first place. A lot of Black businesses are undercapitalized from the beginning, so they're kind of struggling to stay afloat. If you look back at the recession in 2008, 2009, you'll see that 2 years later, about 60% of white businesses still existed, but only 49% of Black businesses. And often because they're undercapitalized from the beginning, there's not that economic cushion to kind of survive rough times. And then we have to look at what happened with the federal money. The first round, we're all excited about the CARES Act. But the Center for Responsible Lending said that 95% of Black businesses did not get that PPP money, that Paycheck Protection Payroll. I'm always getting that Paycheck Protection Program money. So, and a lot of that, was because a lot of small businesses just don't have that relationship with large banks, and the large banks really were the ones who had that federal money. If you didn't have that relationship, if you banked at a smaller bank or at a credit union, you weren't in line to get that money, and it ran out in 2 weeks. Also, of course, banks get nice big fees when they make nice big loans. And so you started hearing about, millions going to places like Shake Shack, and, the little mom and pop down the street didn't get anything. So we're hoping with the second round, things were better. The first round was early April. The second round was late April. I haven't heard final figures on that. I know there was a local survey done, small group, just 60 Black businesses. And out of that group, about 63% said they were either told flat out, no, you can't have the money, or more information was needed, or they were still waiting for an answer. And this was about 2 weeks ago. So we're not sure. We're hoping that businesses fared better. But we thought, meanwhile, we're all in this together. Let's support our small businesses. Let's give an extra push for Black businesses that are disparately impacted. And so that's why, I got together with the Urban League and the Collective Empowerment Group. And it's really simple. Hashtag Cincy by Black Thursdays. Just on Thursday, we remind people, get out there, support Black businesses. They can go to my website on the Cincinnati website. There's a Black Business Directory that was started by former council member Tamaya Denard. So we took it out, dusted it off. It's up and running. It's free to list your business or to find a business. And business could be, an attorney, could be a plumber, could be an electrician, could be a restaurant, a caterer, anything. So we just encourage people to do that. And then when they support a Black business, just do hashtag Cincy Buy Black Thursdays. So you see it behind me there. So that's it. We're just really working together, supporting each other, but we want people to support buy local as much as possible, support all of our businesses.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thank you. Now that you say it, I see it. Now, I didn't see that earlier. So thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, it's a great program. And we're going to talk in a minute about our effort to kind of fill that gap that you just identified for small businesses with some of the CARES dollars that we have. And I think Holly or Jeff are going to walk us through some of the details of that program. But we hope to roll that thing out hopefully next week. And I know that we've been in touch with Mortar and the African American Chamber to make sure that small businesses that are so important to this community are on that list. They're in the queue, and hopefully we'll receive some of those dollars to plug the gap. That is, we all know that exists. So
that is wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thanks for coming to the meeting virtually and telling us about that. It's exciting. It's a fun program. So, commissioners, comments and questions.
Thank you, Madam President. Councilwoman Kearney, you did great.
Thank you. Thank you. So Commissioner Summerall Dumas and I have known each other since, I think, kindergarten.
Yeah. So I'm actually looking at you and remembering the little bows in your hair, but anyway, that's another time. But it's a great program, and I hope that the community in general, the whole county, gets on board with it. So thank you.
Thanks for all of your support. I really appreciate it. All three of you are just fantastic. I'm proud of all of you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes, Councilwoman Kearney, thank you so much. I actually do participate in this. I think it's creative and it's smart, and I love it. And I hope that everybody will take part and support Black business. So thanks for coming.
Oh, I appreciate it. You all are wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
So, Victoria, do you do the hashtag?
Oh, hashtag.
No, I mean, do you do it when you buy some? So that's the thing. You have to remember to do the hashtag, right?
My daughter does.
Oh, no. That's perfect. All right. Thank you. Thanks for Councilmember Kearney for coming on. We really appreciate it. And we'll all remember to do the hashtag so everybody knows that we're buying black on Thursday and other days too. So thanks for coming in.
Madam President, appreciate all of you. Thank you so
much. And you're welcome to stay on if you'd like.
Okay, thank you.
No pressure.
Maybe I'll just grab that and just come right back.
Okay.
No obligation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So, Leslie, I do not know that we have any other public comments. Is that correct?
Leslie is not here.
Oh my gosh, Jackie, I'm sorry. All right, so Jackie.
I'm certain that she would enjoy the thought that you were thinking of her. We don't have any comment requests.
Right. Yeah, my mind is wandering. All right, thank you very much. So we'll move on to comments of county commissioners. Commissioner Summerall Dumas.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm just going to lead right into where Councilwoman Kearney left off, that the county is currently looking at some great things for all businesses, all small businesses, and I'm sure Madam President will speak about that later as it relates to the CARES Act. We have more than $5 million that we are looking at to give to small businesses. There are certainly criteria that you have to meet to be able to participate in this. Some of which you have to have a storefront, the amount of employees you have to have your taxes done. So I'll let Jeff and Commissioner Driehaus extend on that. But I've heard a lot of talk about it on a lot of radio stations and the television. So just be prepared. There's information on our website, hamilton-co.org. Read on our website about information. We will be hopefully in the next couple weeks, no more than a couple weeks, letting this out so people can actually get applications. Before I move from there, I just have a few statistics. as it relates to Hamilton County small business revenue, has declined more. It exceeds the U.S. average in Hamilton County. And as of April the 25th, small businesses decreased 46.7% nationwide. Compared to nationwide, it's only 39.8%. Consumer spending in Hamilton County was down by 45.2% as of April the 30th, compared to early January. In Ohio, the decline was only 15%. So we are uniquely positioned to use this money, and hopefully we may even get more monies in for that purpose. So keep your ear to the ground so you don't miss out on this opportunity. I've even had questions from some constituents who have asked, well, I just received $2,000 from the federal government. Can I give my $2,000 back to get the $10,000? So I don't know how flexible we can be where they would, I don't know, they received $2,000, maybe they would only get $8,000. But I know we're in the process of refining this program. But one thing we can say that I'm hoping that we can be flexible, it can be fast and disperse it. HCDC is going to be pivotal in dispersing this. It will be fair and also diverse as it relates to the types of businesses, the locations, and the type of owners. So that's what I wanted to say about the small business opportunity. In addition, I was on a virtual meeting with OKI this morning, and also SWORRIB, who deals with job opportunities. And they are in need of interns from either high school or college. When I say they are in need, when I say SWORRIB is in need of interns, because the ones that are in high school and in college are not able to meet their criteria for graduation because they can't go anywhere for placement. So if you're a business that's listening and you may be able to use an intern in a safe environment, please contact SWORRIB, Sherry Marshall, and she can tell you more about it. Let's see. I think that will end my report. That'll end my report, Madam President.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Parks.
Thank you, Madam President. My office is excited to roll out the results of our 513 Survive call for videos and expressions from young people in our community. So we're hoping to have it ready by next Thursday's meeting.
Great.
So yeah, it's really I've been so inspired, and I've learned so much talking to these young people, and I'm just excited to present it to you and to the county. And
Is it a video, Victoria?
Yes,
Okay.
we're going to cut and paste
Very good.
what was submitted and come up with something really cool.
Okay, great. We'll look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have two things. The first is, and I know I've talked about this before, but there is a group of sewers. They're actually from all over the county, but led by Rose Sturz, who's a Delhi Township trustee. And so they have been sewing masks. Originally, it was for our JFS workers, our frontline workers who are out in the field or in the building as we start to open up our buildings. But we asked them to pivot and start sewing masks for kids. And so they are doing that. And I just got a shipment yesterday of about 500. I actually ran out to Delhi Township and picked them up. So 500 masks for kids. But I got to tell you something. I got to show, I mean, I don't know if you can see these. They are hilarious. So that's cows.
Yes.
Right? This one's got a pig on it. Right? I mean, can you see that it's got
Yes.
I mean, they're they're adorable. We've got one for the Cincinnati Bengals. And here's a dinosaur one. So it gives you an idea. They're not only are they doing this, but they're doing it in a way that's fun, and the kids are going to wear these. So we're very excited. We have, as you both know, about 1,800 kids in foster care. And so when we told them this number, they were like, oh, that's a lot of masks. But I bet they've given us 600 or 700 already. So I just, another shout out. Thank you to Rose and the group of, they're all women that are sewing. It's just, yeah, it's just really fun. And I'll deliver these this afternoon or tomorrow morning. The second thing, I just wanted to touch on the CARES Act dollars. We've talked about this and how we as a commission have given policy direction related to how we want to use these dollars to the benefit of the community. There are restrictions, obviously, but we are starting to roll them out. And so the small business program is the first tranche of money that will be rolled out specific to that. I mean, other than some of what we've already proved related to PPE, Nick, we've purchased some PPE for Nick Crosley and his group to distribute, and we are doing some redeployment, as you know. But this first tranche, it's over $5 million for small businesses, is pretty exciting. And people, we're hearing from folks who did not get those federal dollars, or and you are right, Commissioner Summer Odumas, some got lesser amounts than 10,000, but the target here is for those small businesses that didn't benefit from the federal dollars. And I'll let Holly go on a little bit about some of the criteria, but we hope to have something of a time frame as to when the application will go live, and the documentation that's going to be needed from the business owner, as well as the eligibility criteria. Hopefully by the end of the week, tomorrow, that will be online. And then hopefully the application will go live next week. So we've encouraged folks, and you've mentioned it, to get in the queue, to go to the website, because once you get in the queue, then you're receiving information about, what you need to have ready and when the application will be available. As we get applications in, once that opens up, we will have it open for a finite period of time. It will close, and then there will be a lottery system. I think we anticipate a pretty large reaction to this. I think we're going to have a lot of folks apply. If you do the math, and it's $10,000 per small business, and we've got 5 million, it's about 500 small businesses. We've got a little bit more than that because there's some CDBG dollars rolled into that as well. But that's a lot of businesses, but we just don't know how many applications we're going to get. So if we need to revisit, and obviously that will be a decision of the board to put more money into this program, then we'll have the opportunity to do that. But right now, this 5 million will, like I said, hopefully be available within the next couple of weeks for small businesses in Hamilton County. So it's really, I just think we're hitting the nail on the head here with the advice of both of you and the administration as to how we should roll things out. I will tell you, as you look at our policy directive, you realize that small businesses, nonprofits, rental assistance are way at the top of the list, in addition to our public health response and testing and some of the other things. So I think we've given the direction. I think the administration has done a very good job of capturing what we're trying to do here. So Jeff, I know we've got an item related to this on the agenda. It's the only by-leave item that we have. So if you don't mind, can we bring that forward while we're talking about it?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So this is by-leave item number 1. This gets it right at what you were discussing, Madam President. This is a resolution authorizing the county administrator enter into an agreement with the Hamilton County Development Corporation. This is HCDC will be serving as our administrative agent for this program. So we will be passing through 5 million in this first tranche to HCDC, which will be administering that on our behalf. So this is an agreement to pass that through. As you said, Madam President, we are still in the process of refining some of the guidelines around this. If people go to that website, if they go to www.hamiltoncountyohio.gov, they can follow there's a flag right at the top of the website that will walk you through to some small business resources where you can put your name in, the name of your business, et cetera, and start getting email updates on this. At the same time, you can also go to www.hamiltonncohio.gov/COVID-19, and that'll take you right to the webpage if you don't want to follow through all the steps. But as you mentioned, right now we know that for the most part, we're talking about small businesses, $1 million or less in annual revenues. Also, businesses that have seen a 50% reduction in revenues associated with COVID-19. So that's some of these policy guidelines are those that the county set, but a lot of them are things that we are restricted by in terms of the Department of Treasury's guidelines. So we have no choice but to make sure that as we roll this grant loan program out, that it is businesses directly impacted by COVID-19. That has to be something that a business is capable of showing through documentation. But there'll be guidance on the website even more over the next couple of days as to the types of paperwork that a business will want to have in order to be able to document that if they are selected for the program. As you indicated, Madam President, we were expecting a huge response on this. Communities are doing this across the nation in a lot of different ways, and we're right now in the heart of the time when a lot of communities throughout the country are starting to roll this out. We're part of that first wave, and we are seeing that there are a lot of communities out there who are doing it the exact same way we are, and that is recognizing that you're going to get a huge response. There's a limited amount of resources. The only fair way to do that is to randomly select a population of businesses out of that initial response. So we will be we're putting that process in place. We're also putting some other guidelines in place, as you indicated. We'll have more on the website over the next couple of days, with hopes of launching and opening the window mid next week. So happy to answer any questions. Holly's on the line as well. Holly is going to be serving as the point person for the County CARES Act dollars. Underneath Holly, we have a team of employees from the county, 4 or 5 employees who are going to be directly carrying out these various programs, but Holly will be the tip of the spear, so to speak. So if there's any questions for us, we'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. And huge thanks to Holly. She's just been working night and day to try to get this up and running. And this is the first tranche going out, and you just have to work out the kinks. So thanks, Holly, for everything you're doing. I know all 3 of us are pushing you to do this as quickly as possible, but thanks for everything. Holly, could you talk to us a little bit about who you have talked to about the program itself, to inform what the eligibility requirements are, and how we should be proceeding, because I know it's gone outside just the county organization.
Thank you, Commissioner Driehaus. I want to first thank tremendously, I can't thank enough, the folks at HCDC, in particular Harry Blanton and Catherine Fitzgerald. I can't thank enough the team at our planning and development staff, in particular Joy Pearson, Buba Cardiali, and Emily Carnahan and James Noyes. They have really got this program to where it is right now, and it's been an amazing effort. So along those lines, we got it to a spot that we talked about last week in terms of the minimum number of employees under 50. We're actually looking to refine that a little bit more right now. And then we have talked with, just on, forgive me, I'm getting my days of the week mixed up a little bit. Tuesday, Harry and I had walked through our preliminary criteria with Greater Cincinnati Chamber of Commerce, African American Chamber, Ready, and we also had, and I know Harry Blanton's on the phone. Harry, don't let me forget anyone. I believe Mortar was on the phone, as well as the Minority Business Accelerator through the Greater Cincinnati Chamber. And so we did get some feedback, and we're taking that feedback and looking at our program that we received based on that. I will say we do want a lot of help we know we're going to get a lot of interest in this, and we know it's going to be potentially an overwhelming response, and we know that going into it. And we do want help, though, from all of our partners in getting the word out to make sure we do have a good, diverse group of businesses applying for these funds.
Thank you. And Robert Bell, I know, has been involved in this as well.
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you. I know Robert's also on the call. Okay. Are there questions, or Jeff, is there anything else?
No, nothing else. Just want to echo Holly and thanking all the individuals, both internal and external, that have been a part of putting this together. And I just also want to add that this is the first tranche of money. That the plan we have come up with and presented to the board actually would include a second round of this, potentially based upon what we see in terms of demand. So there could be the ability to refine things as well as we learn from launching this first effort.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the commissioners? Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes, Madam President, a couple questions, Holly or either Jeff. Since there's going to be a lottery, is there going to be any pre-qualification before you're actually put in the lottery for selection? Or will you go in the lottery and then once you're chosen, then you look and see if they qualify?
Yeah, so it will be the latter, that individual companies will have to submit into the system. The selection will happen, and then there will be a group of professionals that will assess those applications to make sure that the various eligibility criteria were hit. If there's a business that did not meet that criteria, then another entity would be pulled out of the lottery to replace them. Holly, did I get that correctly? I just wanted to make sure, because I know you have to jump off the line. Are you still on?
Yes, I'm still on, Jeff.
Okay.
Yeah, you're correct. We will have, the plan right now is to have what we're calling a certification or of eligibility certification, or a pre-application that will be a simple form just to have the business fill out standard information about the business. And then in general, there will be yes, no questions. Are they meeting our criteria? They will be told up front that if you are, bless you.
I'm sorry.
If you are chosen through the lottery, you will be required to submit documentation to prove the information that you checked on the pre-application. So if, one of our requirements, as was mentioned, was less than $1 million in annual gross revenues. And if you check yes in the pre-application and you're chosen through the lottery, you'll get a follow-up saying, okay, now we need this type of documentation to make sure to document and prove that you do meet our eligibility requirements.
Okay, thank you. And my other question is, and I certainly appreciate HCDC and their involvement, since they were chosen as the pass-through or to provide the administrative part of the project. Why don't we, being transparent, there is administrative cost, and how do we come up with that cost?
Yeah, we have a not to exceed in the agreement, and as things are moving quickly, we are continue to refine that number with HCDC, but we felt comfortable as administration with the not to exceed, knowing that the requirements in the agreement are to document all time directly associated with this project, as is required by the CARES Act.
And what is the cost?
I'm sorry. So the by-leave before you is we are passing through $5 million to HCDC, who will then, once applications are vetted and approved, will quote unquote cut the check to those businesses. And then in an amount not to exceed $95,000 to do all that work associated with it.
Right, I was aware of the 5 million, but I just want the public to know, who's also listening, that they will receive 95,000. And so how did we choose HCDC to be the administrator?
HCDC is our by contract, the economic development arm of Hamilton County. So we are amending their existing contract to provide that service.
Okay. That's all I have, Madam President.
Thank you. Commissioner Parks?
Yes, I just want to give a shout out to the creativity that is being used to to make this program happen. Remember, when we got the $142 million, and we didn't exactly, we were looking for flexibility, right? And so the genius of our administration and the other workers came up with this so that these dollars actually flow to the businesses in our community. And I just think that it's so smart, and I congratulate everybody's creativity, and I'm excited about it.
Mm-hmm. Hear, hear. Thank you. All right. If there are no further questions or comments, I'm going to move that we approve of the resolution authorizing the county administrator to enter into an amendment to the agreement with HCDC, Inc.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse?
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas?
Yes.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes.
Thank you. Jeff, we were in the middle of your comments. Do you have anything else?
No, nothing else of substance. I do just want to note that ironically, Holly is jumping off the call to jump on a call with the Auditor of State to discuss some of the rules associated with the CARES Act. And I know the board is aware of this. So I just want to make sure that the public is aware as well that as we are rolling these programs out, if there is any delay or longer period of time, we want to. The administration shares the board's desire to get these dollars out the door as quickly as we possibly can. Some of the rules associated with Treasury are not quite yet defined and not really ripe yet. So we're trying to get these dollars out the door while at the same time we're still hearing from the Department of Treasury as to what the appropriate rules are for using the dollars. So we want to make sure we're doing everything completely by the book. I think on the small business program, we've got enough now to know that an appropriate way to push the money out the door, but we have the same dynamic for all these other programs. So Holly's jumping on a call with the Auditor of State to try to keep fleshing that out. So, but aside from that, no, that's all I really have for buy leaves today, other than I do want to just echo a comment Nick Crosley made a little bit earlier today, and that is because I'm getting a lot of calls as well about personal protective equipment in the community, and just want to continue to send the message that we are going to do everything we possibly can to make sure that the county, using our CARES Act dollars, is sourcing enough personal protective equipment to serve as a really an anchor for that for those materials in the community, primarily as it relates to providing it to our health organizations, some of our congregate care, medical facilities, our first responders, et cetera. And we will look to help everybody else, every other organization. Nick walked through, and Madam President, you walked through a huge list of the organizations that are out there that we are helping. But I think it would behoove us also to continue to remind these organizations to not put off getting PPE into your normal plans for the types of business supplies that you need to order, because the money and the dollars through the county won't always be there. We want to make sure that people are ramping up their internal processes for getting those supplies in. And to the degree people have questions about what vendors the county has used, et cetera, more than happy to help out with that. But I just wanted to make sure that we send the message that we absolutely will try to help anybody. But at the same time, we are really wanting to make sure that our assistance is there for the first responders in the medical community, et cetera. So I just wanted to echo Nick's comments on that from earlier.
Thanks, Jeff. All right, let's get into the agenda then. So we've got one regular agenda item related to the engineer, and Eric Beck is on the line. Eric, please walk us through item number 1.
Sure, thank you. This is the awarding of the bid for the Harrison Road project, approximately from Wesselman Road to Philview Circle. This has no county money in it. It is a federal grant and Green Township money. We took bids on this April 9th, and we are requesting to proceed with the contract.
Are there any questions or comments?
No questions, no comments.
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. All right. In that case, I'm going to move that we agree to and approve of item number 1 on our regular agenda, resolution awarding contract to the lowest and best bidder, Barrett Paving Materials, Inc., for the improvement of Harrison Avenue located in Green Township, Ohio.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse,
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas,
Yes.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. The consent agenda is items 2 through 10. Are there any questions or comments related to these items?
Madam President, I would just like to mention item 3, which deals with the West End Garage. I had a few questions for Phil Beck as it relates to the prevailing wage, minority inclusion, and labor unions. And he was able to call me and we were able to talk about it, and I'm satisfied with what's in the agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and thank you, Phil, for reaching out to all of us, by the way. Commissioner Parks?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Yeah, thanks, Phil. Very efficiently done. So, all right. So I will then move that. Are there any questions or comments related to any other consent agenda items?
No.
I have none.
Okay. I'm going to move that we agree to and approve of consent agenda items 2 through 10.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse,
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas,
Yes.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes.
All right. Very good. That concludes the agenda. We do not have any executive sessions today, but I suspect we're going to have one next week related to MSD, one of our favorite topics. So just a forewarning for all of you. So is there anything else? Yes.
Yeah. I may just be maybe 2 minutes late next Thursday. I have an appointment that I couldn't get any other time. So I should be on time. Okay.
Commissioner Parks, are you going to be here next week?
I'll be here, and I'd also like to remind everybody to complete the census.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
Yes. That's that. Yeah. Did you see our numbers? They're not great. Our numbers are not great. Yeah.
Wow.
Right. And so, while we talk about this money, while we talk about CDBG, all of the money that we receive is calculated by our population. So it's important, and do it.
That's right.
And I wanted to mention there is an extension on the census. It was extended to July, I think. I was reading it.
Yeah, we'll get that information, and then also the contact information for the census. I want to say that we are doing a little bit better than the city of Cincinnati. So maybe we should have a friendly competition, right? Because we're a little ahead. This is why I say that, of course. But anyway, yeah, let me call the mayor and see if he's up for some friendly competition on this. But yeah, we'll have that contact information. But Victoria, can you remember the website for that? To fill it out, it's so easy. But
yeah, I think it's like census.gov.
My2020census.gov.
Okay.
Is what
My 2020 census.
Is what I'm hearing from my chief of staff, who's ran and is now in my doorway. It's so easy. It took me 6 minutes to fill out the census. I mean, it was so easy. So, and we got the final results of the election today. Congratulations to those who have now been verified as winning the election, including, of course, the transit levy, which squeaked by, but did prevail. So,
yes.
So anyways, all right, very good. Jeff, do we have anything else?
No, nothing else.
All right, very good. I will then move that we adjourn.
Second.
Commissioner Dreehouse,
Yes.
Commissioner Summer Dumas,
Yes.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, everybody.